When the war ended, I thought I'd seen the last of alien blood and broken worlds. I came home to Earth to disappear into silence, to bury my past beneath farming soil and forgotten metals. But one night, under cold stars, a knock changed everything. She stood there, violet skin cloaked in moonlight, her eyes wide with desperation and something deeper. "My children have no father," she whispered. "And I have no one to keep me warm."
I should have shut the door. I didn't.
It started with a knock, soft, deliberate, unnatural. The kind of knock that doesn't echo through wood but hums through your bones. I hadn't expected visitors, let alone one who arrived under twin moons and radiation storms on a colony barely known to most star maps. When I opened the door, the desert wind didn't rush in, but something else did. She stood there, barefoot, cloaked in a fabric that shimmered between matter and light, soaked from the acid winds outside. Her eyes glowed, not with malice, not with hunger, but something worse, something desperate.
"You are human," she said.
Not a question, a truth, like it was the only thing tethering her to hope. Her voice was deep but melodious, and every syllable vibrated like a song held back by silence. "Yes, who are you?" I asked, still gripping the plasma tool I kept behind the door, still unsure if this was a dream, a trap, or the beginning of my end.
She pulled the hood down.
Her face was beautiful, achingly so. Purple skin with a soft iridescent hue, streaked by silver scars. Her hair, silver blue and thick, coiled with life, whipped gently in the wind. But it was her eyes, two nebulae swirling with grief, that arrested me. "I am Virale. My mate, he was killed 2 rotations ago.
I carry his name.
I carry his children. I carry a promise I cannot fulfill, unless you agree."
She stepped forward, and for a moment I froze. Not out of fear. Not out of suspicion. But because of the weight in her voice.
The kind that only survivors wear when they have nothing left to lose.
"Children?"
I asked, cautiously stepping aside to let her in. She nodded and entered. Her cloak shifted like it was alive, dispersing heat, adjusting moisture, adapting to my environment. I stared as she lifted the hem and unlatched the side. There, tucked close to her body in a bioluminescent sling, were 2 infant forms. Not entirely human, not entirely alien, but something heartbreakingly vulnerable. Their tiny chests rose and fell. They were alive. "They are weak," she said, as she knelt on the stone floor. "They need a father, one who can protect them on this world. One who understands survival. One who won't abandon them when the war reaches here."
"War?"
I asked, my breath catching. I hadn't heard of an active conflict on this rim, just rumors of empire collapse, splinter cells, broken oaths.
"They will come," she said.
"Not for you.
For me. For them."
She touched the sling softly. My mate defied his caste. He refused to return me to the priesthood.
"So they killed him." I ran.
"They won't allow his bloodline to survive." Her words sliced through the room like invisible razors. I wanted to ask why me.
Why here?
But I already knew. This planet, dusty, forgotten, unmonitored, was the last page in the galaxy's book. If she made it here, she was truly desperate. "I don't know how to raise alien children," I said. "But you are human," she said again, like that explained everything.
"You adapt. You endure. You love.
Even when everything is broken." I didn't know what to say to that. My own past wasn't clean. I had fought in the core wars, seen too much, lost more. Love was a battlefield I never won. But something in her eyes, something about how she looked not at me but through me, made me pause.
"They'll come," she said again, softly this time.
"And when they do, I will die. But if you take them, if you let me warm your bed, I can pass my bond to you."
"You'll be shielded. They'll be shielded."
My caste only kills those who stand in the way of transfer. Not those who fulfill it. I didn't fully understand their culture, but I grasped enough. She was offering herself, not just as a mother of orphans, but as a warrior, a widow, a last defense. She would protect me in the short term, but in return, she wanted the most intimate kind of trust. "You don't even know me," I said. She smiled, just slightly. "But I know what a dying man looks like. And you don't look dead yet." That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay on my cot, her presence filling the far end of the small cabin. She fed the infants something viscous and glowing, nutrient paste mixed with antibodies I couldn't name. Every move she made was precise, measured, but filled with a tenderness that betrayed her hardened voice.
At some point, she stood and walked over.
"The transfer must happen before the first moonfall," she said. "It's when our lineage bonds shift. After that, I am just a target." But before, if you accept, we become protected. How does it work?
I asked. Not with violence, she said.
But with willingness.
With warmth.
She removed her cloak slowly. Her body, sculpted like art but built like a survivor, was covered in biometal armor that adjusted to every breath. She pressed a glowing node, and it peeled away gently. Underneath, her skin shimmered like polished dusk. I looked at her, not as an alien, but as a mother.
A widow. A woman on the edge of extinction. You sure? I asked.
I'm just a man in exile.
Then we are the same, she whispered.
Two ends of a story no one else wants to finish.
I took her hand.
It was warm, unexpectedly so. Her touch didn't burn, but it branded. Not with pain, but with memory. That night, we didn't make love.
We didn't couple. We bonded.
There's no other word for it. She pressed her forehead to mine, whispered something in a tongue I didn't understand, and let tears fall down my cheek that weren't mine. By morning, everything was different. The sky outside was blood orange. The storm clouds had parted, but not because they were done. Because something bigger was coming.
They found me, she said.
I looked at the ridge, and saw them. 3 ships, not sleek, not aggressive, but religious. Drifting like temples carved from dying stars. They shimmered with dread.
They won't kill me, she said.
But they will test you. I stood beside her, unsure what that meant, until the first emissary arrived.
He wasn't armed.
He wasn't angry.
But his words were death.
You've bonded with the widow of House Naira, he said. You've broken celestial alignment. You've assumed responsibility.
Yes, I said.
Then prove it, he said, drawing a blade of light. Only the worthy carry her bloodline. Virale stood behind me.
Silent. Watching.
The emissary charged.
I didn't fight clean, I fought human.
I ducked, I clawed, I used tools he didn't recognize.
In the end, he bled. He fell. And I didn't gloat.
I simply stood.
Breathing hard. Still alive.
He is worthy, she said behind me.
Her voice, now powerful.
No longer just a widow. No longer just desperate.
The ships didn't retreat, but they didn't advance.
They hovered for hours, then ascended. Virale turned to me.
They'll return, she said.
But not for a long while. Not until they see the children walk.
Then we build, I said. She smiled. She leaned in.
Kissed my brow.
You are more than human, she whispered.
You are father. And for the first time in years, I believed it. The next morning came not with the expected serenity of dawn, but the charged silence of impending change. Aileen was already awake, seated near the domed edge of the hab tent, her back straight, her long silver and amber cloak draped over her shoulders like a mantle of mourning and defiance. Her children, Lix, the older silent boy, and Ray, the spirited girl, huddled around a heated mineral stone, watching the sky as if they knew their world was about to shift once again. I stood outside, looking toward the edge of the desert where the diplomatic skiff would land within the hour. Not a weapon on me, just the desert-issue clothes, a solar skin jacket, and a hand at my side ready for whatever. She came to me silently, Aileen, alien widow, too human in that moment. You don't have to be part of this, she said, her voice half buried in wind and courage.
I already am, I replied. Your war ended. But your peace, your future, starts here.
And I can't walk away from that. Her eyes locked onto mine, those indigo irises swirling faintly like galaxies being reborn, and something in her changed. Or perhaps something inside me had long since shifted, waiting for this exact intersection of fate and choice. The skiff came with a whine of anti-grav and shimmering displacement. It bore the crest of the old empire, golden wreath split by lightning, and the 2 envoys who stepped out carried themselves with the careful arrogance of those who believed diplomacy always outweighed blood. I recognized the taller one, Commander Veshan Tal.
Former general. Former butcher.
Her husband's enemy. And the second, thinner envoy with electronic tattoos flickering along his bald head, was likely his advisor.
Or his leash.
You've caused quite a stir, widow, Veshan began, his boots crunching the dust with deliberate weight. His gaze briefly passed to me, then returned to Aileen with more curiosity than disdain. Bringing outsiders into internal affairs, rallying broken clans, and, most notably, refusing your allotted second union under the old laws. My first husband was buried in that law, Aileen said calmly, stepping forward. And the moment he died, so did your claim on my future. His clan agreed to a political binding. My children are not tokens. I will not be made a vessel for your succession. The envoy beside Veshan stepped forward, datapad glowing. Per edict, her refusal qualifies as an act of rebellion.
I stepped between them then.
You want her to comply with tradition? Then you'll have to kill me. But you'll have to explain to the human colonies why an alien empire broke our neutrality over one widow and 2 children. Veshen's expression cracked just slightly.
And you would bind yourself to her?
Do you even understand the weight of what you propose?
She asked me to warm her bed, I said. And I said yes.
And now, I'm asking her to build a life with me. Not because of politics, because of choice.
Aileen's breath caught, but she didn't flinch. And I say yes.
In front of the gods and the ghosts. You can't just override.
She's chosen, I said.
Under Earth Council law, I have the right to protect my household.
Veshen hesitated.
The air cracked faintly. The children stood now, Ray with her little fists clenched, Lix holding a hand-carved dagger I hadn't noticed until now. Veshen muttered something to his aide. Then, like an old stone split by sudden frost, his authority fractured.
Then by treaty, she's yours.
But understand this, your union won't end old wounds. You may have made a family, don't think that makes you immune to the fire they still carry.
And just like that, he turned. Skiff doors closed. Engines whined.
The sand blew away their footprints before the silence could settle. That night, after the tent was quiet, I found myself sitting with Aileen under the twin moons. She wore a woven robe of black and red, stitched with clan runes I hadn't yet learned to read. Her feet were bare, pressed to the cool stone, and her hands rested over her lap with ceremonial calm.
But when she looked at me, she smiled.
I expected you to run, she said. Most humans fear the tangle of our customs. I don't know all your customs, I replied, but I know a life when I see one worth building. I dreamed once, she whispered, that I'd raise my children on neutral soil.
Grow herbs in stone gardens.
Dance by the river like my mother did. I thought it was foolish fantasy. Then you arrived, covered in dust and laughter. I laughed softly. I remember the first time Ray tackled me thinking I was a food thief.
She still thinks you are, Aileen chuckled. Then she touched my chest.
You came to fix an antenna. You stayed to fix something deeper. I kissed her then, not with urgency, but with a promise. She tasted of minerals and fire, of ancient lineage and new hope. Her skin, faintly luminous in moonlight, warmed beneath my touch like sunstones. And that night, under the open stars and the stories of our ancestors, we made love, not in desperation, not in escape, but in defiance of everything that had tried to keep our worlds apart. Months passed like sand through wind fingers. Together we built a life of threads from 2 looms, her traditions and mine, stitched into one cloth. I taught her children how to use solar compasses. They taught me how to climb glassroot trees and snare desert lizards. Our home became more than a hab tent, it became a gathering place. Old clan elders came to see this strange union. Human settlers brought seeds and solar bricks. A new kind of village rose, forged not by conquest, but communion.
But peace, true peace, is always tested.
It came in the form of a signal.
Distress beacon.
A mining caravan attacked by rogue imperialists still loyal to the old law. 20 kilometers out.
We debated.
I was ready to go, but Aileen stopped me.
You are our heart, she said.
If you die, this union dies. Then I'll take Lix. He's fast, knows the terrain. Her face twisted in fear. He is still a boy.
He's your son. And brave.
You raised him with fire.
In the end, Lix and I went.
The route was harsh, ravines scorched by sun, winds sharp as glass. We reached the caravan under moonlight. Raiders had left, taking most supplies. But survivors remained, scared, wounded, stranded. Lix moved among them like a shadow guardian, whispering courage. I radioed for a lifter, and together we built fires, splinted bones, told stories to keep the fear from becoming madness. When we returned 2 days later, the entire village greeted us. Aileen ran to us, tears catching in her smile.
I thought. I promised, I said. No ghosts tonight. Years passed.
We bore no children together, but we raised hers as ours. Ray became a healer.
Lix, a protector. And Aileen, a symbol.
Other widows came to her for wisdom. Other humans came to us seeking unity. Together, we founded the first hybrid council, alien and human both. A new city rose, made of stone and solar panels, bone-carved symbols and glass towers. We named it Dualhearth, for the twin stars we had survived under, and the 2 souls that had dared to become one. One day, while she braided her hair in the shade of a prayer tree, I asked her, if your first husband hadn't died. I still would have found you, she said. Or you would have found me. There are threads between stars no empire can sever. And if another war comes?
Then we'll do what we did before, she smiled.
We'll love harder than they hate.
I kissed her hand. Wrinkled now. Still warm.
And when she died, decades later, beneath the bloom of eclipse flowers, I buried her beneath the twin moons. Beside the river she once dreamed of dancing in. Her grave bore no clan markings. Just a carved line in old earth tongue. She gave love in a language older than war. And every night, when I sit beneath those stars, I remember the knock on my door, the widow who needed a father for her children. And how, in giving her that, I found not just love, but a life worth every storm we weathered.